President Trump described yesterday Baghdadi whimpering and crying before he died. Can you elaborate or confirm those details?
Secretary was asked the same question yesterday. I know the president had planned to talk down to the unit and unit members, but I don't know what the source of that was.
Breaking news. The Pentagon, the Chief of Staffs, cannot confirm the president's version of the events. And if any of it's a lie, it's all a lie, ladies and gentlemen. That's what history tells us when we look at previous scenarios that were similar in nature, like the Bin Laden raid, SEAL Team 6, and the like. The entire story just began to fall apart instantly, just like many of the other Gladio B events out there. Never trust the television. And it seems like many conservatives out there have gone back to sleep. They've forgotten everything they've learned since 9/11, all of the Gladio B events, the Skull and Bones versus the Skull and Bones. They think that this actor from NBC, that was, on NBC for over a decade, is somehow now their friend. But we're seeing numerous people in the defense establishment calling into question perhaps what this administration is doing. And they're obviously deep, in the bench right now. All the starters are pretty much gone, and now it's a no man's land in terms of politics. We're going to be getting into this big story with the suicide of the ISIS leader out there. According to some reports, he was paralyzed, unable to walk. That's why the last video has him sitting. Very difficult to tell if he could have waddled his way into a tunnel. Where is this tunnel is the question. The videos that are circulating right now just shows a pile of white dust. Where is the tunnel? Was it in the basement? Is that, where the tunnel is? Is it in the basement where they cooked up this conspiracy theory that they got another one? Maybe they did. Maybe they didn't. They're going to be coming out with new Hollywood video in the coming days. Now, we've got new details about the raid. This is the compound beforehand, and you might think that this little hangar is going into a mountain or something, but it's not. There's no visible tunnels here, certainly not as visible as on Epstein's Island, and maybe we'll be able to bring up some of that footage. What happened to Epstein's Island. The timing of this operation is rather convenient. As this administration was basically sinking like the Titanic, here comes, we got Bin Laden 2.0. Oh, here's some public education for you. But who got Bin Laden 2.0? There's the tunnel at Epstein's Island. There it was. It came and it went. We'll try and find more footage of that. The video guy seems to be on vacation. But, the question remains here about the timing. Timing is everything. And this story just, couldn't have come at a better time for this administration for numerous reasons. If you've been following, the Ukraine crisis as well as other, stories out there, Giuliani, etc. They were sinking quicker than you could say, what happened. What happened to this administration? What happened to term limits? What happened to Hillary for prison? What happened to everything that came out in the WikiLeaks? During the 2016 campaign, it was WikiLeaks nonstop, and now they locked up Assange. What happened? Did they replace Trump with a clone? What's going on? Nobody really feels like they've gotten what they voted for. How many of you out there really feel deep down inside you, don't be a fucking cult member, how many of you out there feel deep down inside you that you got what you voted for in 2016? Did you get Hillary for prison? Did you get a new 9/11 investigation? Did they stop the chemtrails, the vaccines, the fluoride, any of the eugenics programs? Did they, curtail the death towers? No, they've brought out new death towers with 5G, and they're promising to put it in every, on every farm and in every town, ladies and gentlemen. We got some chilling new details about this raid, though. At least 50 to 70 Delta Force members were flown in on 6 to 8 helicopters about 5 p.m. Eastern, midnight local time. And during a 2-hour raid, they basically were able to free some hostages. They were able to take a couple prisoners, and they were able to trap the leader of ISIS. And it turns out that Baghdadi suicided himself, according to reports. But the tunnel caved in, and then they were able to excavate and do a DNA match. Here, let's see if we can play a little bit of that.
Whimpering. Could you hear that on your video hookup? The whimpering of Baghdadi.
I don't want to talk about it, but
He doesn't want to
he
talk
was
about it.
screaming, crying, and whimpering.
President Trump described yesterday Baghdadi whimpering and crying before he died. Can you elaborate or confirm those details?
Secretary was asked the same question yesterday. I know the president had planned to talk down to the unit and unit members, but I don't know what the source of that was.
Now you know why he doesn't want to talk about the whimpering. Okay.
Was there any kind of DNA test done?
So that's another part of the genius of these people. They have his DNA, more of it than they want even. And they brought it with them with lab technicians who were with them. And they assumed that this was Baghdadi. They thought visually it was him, but they assumed it was him, and they did an on-site test. They got samples. And to get to his body, they had to remove a lot of debris because the tunnel had collapsed. But these people are very good at that. And they, as I said, they brought body parts back with them, et cetera, et cetera. There wasn't much left. The vest blew up, but there are still substantial pieces that they brought back. So they did an on-site test because we had to know this. And it was a very quick call that took place about 15 minutes after he was killed, and it was positive. This is a confirmation, sir.
So there's quite a bit there to not be confident about. I could replay that all day and just, break that thing apart. Every little statement, every little micro expression, how he was trying to pitch it and sell it. I don't think anybody really believes the official story once again. And this is becoming, commonplace with this administration, where we're seeing, just BS story after BS story. Now, according to reports that are coming in to our news desk, there were at least 3 girls in the building that were found shot dead, executed. Were these the same 3 girls that were supposedly blown up, to pieces? There seems to be a conflict of reporting here, and we're seeing quite a bit of that, and it almost seems like they blew away the whole place just to kind of get rid of the evidence. Now, look, this should have been an airstrike from the get-go. They should have just, smoked the place immediately and forget trying to capture, this, that, and the other. They don't really need the evidence, right? And they pretty much got everybody networked, figured out, all of that stuff. The names really ain't going to help that much in this type of warfare, because people don't use their real names. They use burner phones, etc., like that. I mean, they should have just smoked the place, but they didn't do that until afterwards. So it makes you wonder, what were they thinking, and the like. Of course, many of the descriptions, that we see in the press right now seems like a Marvel, comic book kind of thing. But they've been able to confirm that this video is authentic, that this is what smoked the compound after the raid. So people were kind of wondering, you know, about the timeline. We saw this. How could anybody survive, you know, this kind of like warm-up attack before the helicopters came in? But it seems like that was the mop-up crew. So they just leveled, you know, they ghosted the whole place. So makes you wonder, you know, what are they covering up here? And look, you know, nobody really expects a whole lot in a war zone. You know, I mean, war is hell. I think everybody's seen, you know, the documentaries and the videos out there, the WikiLeaks. You know, war is hell. And it's sad that we send in, you know, our best and brightest, our bravest into, you know, onto the front lines for basically free PTSD under false pretenses. You know, because they never found the weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, and you know, we don't want to, you know, go into a tangent here on, you know, 9/11 and everything that happened afterwards, the hundreds of thousands, the millions of people that we killed with our tax money. All right, so everybody's complicit in that, all right, and nobody wants to talk about it anymore. And it's like, you know, it's become a common routine ever since, where they just, you know, they murder a bunch of people and then they're like, we need your guns or we need more money. We're going to go invade some shit. And if you question that, then all of a sudden you're basically a heretic to the state religion. And now, you know, they're banning you and labeling you, you know, a terrorist and all this stuff. And you can only imagine what's coming next as they, you know, prepare for the next chapter, as they roll out RoboCops and drones everywhere and the like. But the question that people should be asking here, obviously, is, you know, are they covering anything up here? Is the story lining up? And of course, with the timeline where they're like, oh yeah, in 15 minutes they were able to excavate the tunnel, disarm 2 suicide vests, as well as find the body pieces, you know, the little chunks of bone and flesh, you know, mixed in with the, you know, the chunks of dirt and rock, and then run a DNA test on top of that in 15 minutes. That's some fabulous fucking work. You know, I know we're good, ladies and gentlemen, but I don't think anybody's that good in 15 minutes. I mean, think how quickly 15 minutes goes by. I mean, you could just be sitting there, you know, on the computer, and then boom, 15 minutes is gone. You're like, what happened? You know, that's what, you know, being in trance is all about. They hypnotize you with the technology. That's why putting out shows like this is so effective. We get people in their most vulnerable, you know, mental condition. And yes, you know, there's a lot of crazies out there, ladies and gentlemen. We're not going to get into that right now. But in any case, this story is starting to fall apart. And look, you know, we could be talking about something else. We got other news to cover, but for some reason we felt like we had to come back to this today. More information is coming out. A lot of questions about who did they really get. We're getting different names from people on the ground. Now, of course, you know, they're going to say, you know, they're probably going to give us a bunch of bullshit because, you know, this is White Helmet's territory. And it's been pretty much nothing but BS from that part of the world for quite some time. But in any case, there's still a lot of questions as far as who did they nab. Now, we're going to be seeing more video of the raid in the coming days. They're going to declassify some. We're going to see how Hollywood it gets. We don't want to say, you know, for sure they didn't get him. But, you know, they've captured this guy or killed this guy at least, you know, half a dozen times in the past 2 years. And now it's like, okay, so they got him, but where's the evidence? And reporters were quick to ask the president, you know, where did you hear the whimpering?
Yeah, no, was there any kind of DNA test done or?
So that's another.
Whimpering. Could you hear that on your video hookup?
Could you hear that on the video hookup, the whimpering?
I don't want to talk about it.
I don't want to talk about it. Now, the reports that we're getting is that the feed into the Situation Room was just overhead drones. But, of course, they're probably wearing body cams or helmet cams, live streaming to the Fusion Center, and they, probably had one on, the K9s as well. And so there's no telling what kind of footage they're going to produce, but I highly doubt we're ever going to get to see anything proof positive. At best, we'll see some grainy footage, and they're going to say, yeah, that's the guy. And then they're going to show a cave blow up. But I'll tell you what, I think anybody, out there with a camera today and, a little bit of, gunpowder could probably produce the same effect. I guarantee you they'll never provide information beyond a reasonable doubt. Now, is the bar too high? Do we need to see proof of everything they say? Well, what's the policy? Trust yet verify. Is it okay to be a skeptic today without people flipping out there? We see people in the comments flipping out like, this, that, and the other. And look, what's wrong with asking questions? Why are you so afraid? You so afraid of ideas? You so afraid of questions out there? Let them verify. Let them, stop the 5G. Let them stop the fluoride. Let them put Hillary in prison, bitches. Let them let Assange go. Why don't they do some of that shit? They whacked Epstein and then they're like, look, the Iranians, the Syrians. Come on now. Most of you are brighter than this, but you just don't want to admit it. And I don't know how anybody really got back on the Republican Party bandwagon, given that, they flipped their stars upside down. It's pentagrams now. It's all skull and bones, bunch of evildoers. And the Bohemian Grove. Right? How did you people forget that shit? You're going to leave me, sorry-ass comments like shit out there? It's crazy, man. I even had one person ask us, why aren't you broadcasting from America anymore? Oh, you mean, so I can enjoy the most death towers anywhere on the planet? Eat the GMOs, the pesticides, the fluorides, plus get cracked down like Assange or maybe like Breitbart or some shit like that? Man, people are stupid out there. I think they deserve the 5G. I think they deserve the death towers. I don't even think I should be offering you the EMF 390. People are like, oh, dude, he's just putting out these broadcasts so that he can sell you a fucking meter. Yeah, so that you can see what you're getting dosed with. Now, do you ask yourself the same thing when you watch Fox News or NBC? Oh, they're just putting on this broadcast so that they can sell us toothpaste. That's just the way the world works. There's no freedom without capitalism. This is part of, this is the way America works. Have you seen a show without advertisement? We don't take money from Google or Facebook. We generate revenue by selling you life-saving products. And not just like, the miracle pill. This, the EMF 390 is a thermometer for the radiation. And we've got new evidence, bombshell evidence from the Air Force. We're going to be releasing a bombshell report. Air Force confirms that radio frequency radiation, even at low doses, can cause genetic mutations, like ionizing radiation. Boom, bitches. And we've got graphs and statistics that show that, childhood cancers have increased nearly 400% since, since the first generation cell phone. So, for the critics out there, I would just say put a cock in it, because you're probably from Sodom and Gomorrah, and you're probably just out here just trying to run your psyops and run your mouth, when you should really just be out there on NBC, watching Rachel Madcow. And look, the censorship is bad enough, but the fact that we still got trolls coming in, trying to quote unquote debunk the broadcast. Look, if your ideas are better, do a show. Or at least counter the arguments. But instead, you just want to, say stupid shit out there. And in any case, ladies and gentlemen, EMF 390, only 109 on our website, stfnreport.com. Check that out. You'll be glad you did. I mean, this thing for the money is by far the best value on the market. And we're not just saying that. You can do the you can check it out for yourself. We invite you to shop around. You'll be back, and everybody that has one is just blown away by what they're actually getting dosed with. And that's the point, to know what you're getting dosed with. When they roll back the 5G bitches, when they roll back the fluoride, when they put Hillary in prison, then you can start talking shit. But until then, you're just a shill for the dark side. If you're just writing a blank check to this administration at 666, Fifth Avenue or Pennsylvania Avenue, take your pick, then you must be out of your fucking mind. You must be drinking the fluoride. Come on my channel and talk shit. Wow. Any case, if you're just joining us, big breaking news. Pentagon seems to refute the president's version of the story. What do you think about that? And this is on top of everything else, the Epstein connections, the big pay to play with the Trump hotels and various government agencies. You saw them try to do the quick 1-2 with the G7. But then we're learning there's even more shit, running through the hotels. Various agencies have offices and the like, plus, all sorts of, people coming through. There's a lot of pay to play. The Ukraine crisis, I think, is just the tip of the iceberg. And I think people are afraid to look at the truth because they're like, well, then what do we do? What's the plan, ladies and gentlemen? Who are you going to vote for? Creepy Biden? You're going to vote for Elizabeth Warren? You're going to vote for Commie Sanders? Are you going to vote for Trump? Well, look, we're not saying that, given the choices, that there is a better choice. But the choices are a false paradigm. It's part of the monopoly that's been going on for who knows how many decades. What we need is, to break this monopoly up. And people keep talking about it, people keep saying they're awake, people keep, liking and sharing, but they don't really do anything other than bitch and complain. Except for, a few select cities right now that are banning the 5G because concerned citizens are going to their city council and they're making a fuss about it and they're bringing their friends with them and it's growing into like the thing to do. Why don't you fucking do that out there instead of, just watching videos? Go make some flyers, go make some little, picket signs and do it like they did in the 1950s. Get your rights back. They're taking your freedom of speech, your privacy, your guns, just to name a few. And you're going to come out there and just like and share videos? Really? They're taking everything away from you. You're less free than previous generations. They're dosing you like nonstop. The corruption is, it's just off the charts, as well as the budget and the immigration and the lies. And you're just going to sit there and like and share? What kind of American are you? You won't even fight for your country. You won't fight, for your community. You'll just sit there and bitch and whine and do nothing. Like a bitch, ladies and gentlemen. Like and share out there. Check us out on stfnreport.com. And be sure to get an EMF 390 unless you think like, it's no big deal. Because even minute doses at 1 milliwatt per meter squared in the long term is going to take you out. And that's, they've known that for 30 or 40 years. That's why they're rolling them out. They don't need to put 5G in every, on every street corner. But they're doing it for a reason. They want to bring up the doses. We'll talk more about that. We've got some videos in our archives that cover that. We'll be unleashing a new report fairly soon. Be sure to check that out. We'll have to leave it there for now. Remember that what you're seeing out there in the news isn't about politics. It's about the epic struggle of good versus evil. It's the pages of the Bible playing out before your very eyes. The television is non-stop product placement for the devil, as well as public schools with their devolution, right? They just bring up anything they can to cause doubt. But science has proven that evolution, could not happen. We've never seen anything evolve from primordial soup or chemicals into a living organism. Even the simplest form of life requires DNA, a programming language that consists of megabytes of information, like an encyclopedia set worth of information. That doesn't just spontaneously generate from chemicals. That's the law of biogenesis. Life can only come from life. So, the whole idea of evolving from primordial soup has been debunked for years, but you probably don't know that. Like you don't know a lot of things out there, which is okay. We're here to re-educate. We're actually here to help you. So like and share and support our cause, patreon.com/STF News. Until the next time, ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening to this, you are the resistance.